Breaking down Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Good Monday evening. Welcome into the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I am Randy Rosetta. This is one of three shows a week up until Thanksgiving when we talk about high school sports with all 8 public schools in the greater Lubbock area. I've never understood what the greater Lubbock area means, but the 8 public schools that I know people are very interested in. We shuffled the deck a little bit. I'm going to remind you of that before we get going here tonight. Until Thanksgiving, till the week before Thanksgiving, we wrap up. It will be Monday nights will be Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Tuesday nights are Monterey and Coronado, 6 to 7 p.m. And Wednesdays are Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper, 6 to 7:30 p.m. On Friday nights from 6 to 7:30 p.m. during football season, you can listen to the West Texas Friday Night Preview Show on 100.7 The Score right here and Double T 97.3 FM. Those same 2 stations will carry the West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show, 9:30 to midnight. Archive shows can be found on the High School Fan Zone page. It's over on the right-hand side, not quite the right rail, but you can see it. It's very easy to find at doubleTSportsNetwork.com. And don't forget to download the 100.7 The Score mobile app to listen live or to podcast of all of the 8 High School Fan Zone shows that we do. And that won't change even when the schedule changes after Thanksgiving. That will all be available then. Let's jump right in. We're in the Matador Fan Zone to start with. If you're watching on TV, you see Eric Ward down to my far left, the second-year Estacado head coach and campus coordinator. I say that because we're going to talk a little bit about basketball before we jump in, because your good friend and mentor, Tony Wagner, who's been there a long time. I loved what he said on Facebook about this, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it because the TABC released its preseason rankings today, and the Estacado Matador boys are ranked number 3 in Class 4A. That's coming off of a state semifinal season when they lost to, which Dallas team was it? Was it Kimball?
It was Kimball.
Kimball, who's the preseason number 1 team. And I remember you were at the game, weren't you? Because that was in hometown. Mm-hmm. That was not a typical high school basketball team that your guys lost to last year. That was like, whew.
No, absolutely not. That team looked like it was well put together, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But, it wasn't a traditional team from my opinion. No,
we talked about that last week, about how in the Metroplex and Houston sometimes you can build teams a little bit differently. So,
yes, sir.
Great team, though, and Estacado had a great season. They come in ranked number 3. You lost some guys, but you got a couple of really good players as a foundation. And I said this on Twitter. I'm not trying to stir anything up, but I think it's great that Estacado is ranked number 3. A little bit surprised. I think somebody missed the boat there that the Liberty boys basketball team's not in that top 25 somewhere, because I think that's going to be a fun 2 or 3 or 4 games, whatever it is, between Estacado and Liberty this season. We'll go through some of the other rankings. That was the only boys public school team that was listed. A couple of private schools were, and then a bunch of girls teams are. We'll run through those later on. But I want to jump in and talk to Eric about what sounded like a game that will test a coach's soul a little bit last week. I think it tested both you and your friend Lyle Leone's soul a bit. 33 penalties, is that what my guy wrote about?
It was somewhere around there. Even coaching in the game, I felt like that was far too many. But at the same time, the refs throw a flag for a reason. Our job is to not get the flags thrown on either side of the ball. And so just honor the game and play it the right way.
Yep. Now, I should say that Estacado came out on top 20-13. And I've told you before that Estacado Levelland, that used to be a pretty feisty little rivalry. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is again. Maybe we're getting back to that point. You guys are going to play them a bunch because you're going to stay in that same 4A district at least for another couple of years, and I think Levelland will too. Mm-hmm. And you and Lyle have a friendship that goes back a way, so it's going to be a fun rivalry. There's a lot of similarities in the way you guys do things, and I think that's why these first 2 games between you 2 coaches have been so competitive and so close.
Yeah, absolutely. We come from the same cloth. The football has been ingrained in both of us, and our relationship dates back to when we were college teammates. So, it's pretty funny because I actually got off the phone with Lyle earlier, but during that week last week, he called me every morning And, our friendship will always remain our friendship. But, we went out there and we competed and we shook hands and we hugged after. And, it's time to move on.
If he's listening, I want to tease him a little bit. The fact that you got him on the phone, I'm in awe of you because I can't ever get that dude on the phone.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. Lyle Leon, sort of like Wyatt Martinez up at Plainview, those guys juggle a lot of responsibilities in those one-school towns. Now, you do too.
Yes, sir.
But you've got a athletic administration above you. Those guys in those towns, man, the stuff they've got to do other than just coach football, I'm in awe of all the stuff they do and still coach football teams. So,
yes, sir.
I want to run through the scores real quick. Our first break's sneaking up on us, so I'm going to run through last week. Thursday night, Coronado put up a great fight. I was very proud of Andrew Roy's guys and what they did against Abilene High. Final score was 35-6. That was not a 35-6 game. Coronado's defense in particular played a lot better, and I think that's a good sign of things to come for the Mustangs. And let's see, Friday night, I mentioned Estacado went out to Levelland, won 20-6 or 20-13?
2013.
2013. I've got to fix that into my scoreboard here. We're coming up on a break. We'll come back with the other scores and talk more about the Matadors when we come back on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Estacado athletics. You're listening to the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. This is the High School Fan Zone on a Monday night, October 13th. I'm going to ask Eric something here in the break. I'm going to let him reveal that if he wants to. But we'll come back to the scores from last week. It was a busy week, but it was very strange. Last week there wasn't a whole lot of football in Lubbock. Everybody was kind of out of town, and then this week I think everybody is in town.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I'm going to check this. It's the first time that Lubbock Cooper, Liberty, and Trinity Christian all play at home on the same night since Liberty opened, because they're all kind of out there together. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to be driving out of that part of town. I mean, this week it's good to have a Thursday night game for you guys. So. Yeah. Well, anyway, before I get too wander off into a rabbit hole here, last Friday I mentioned Estacado 20-13 win. Let's see, in the District 2 6A, Friendship went on the road, started that district season. I was at that game. Friendship won 42-31, got a fumble return in the last 2 minutes to kind of nail that thing down. It was a great offensive game between two very different kind of offenses. They couldn't stop each other a lot of the night, and then Friendship got the fumble and took it back, kind of sealed it. Silver Spurs stay with Monterey. They beat the Lubbock High Westerns 56-34. In District 2 5A Division 2, bad night for the Lubbock Cooper Pirates. They went to Shotwell Stadium, got beat 66-16. Chip Darden, I promise I won't repeat that score again after that. Let's see, Wichita Falls Legacy beat Plainview 56-42. In District 5 4A Division 2, I mentioned Estacado. Liberty got rid of the bad taste in their mouth from their first loss of the season. They went up to Perryton and won 56-14. The TAP schools opened their district action as well. Fort Worth Christian, I think they're undefeated. I think they're ranked top 5 in TAP's Division 2. Beat Trinity Christian 59-14. Lubbock Christian was on the road in Fort Worth. Beat Lake Country Christian 65-19. And that was it. Kingdom Prep won by forfeit because the Amarillo team they were going to play did not field a team. Christ the King had a game wiped out. So we were talking about some different things here, Eric. You guys are kind of the Thursday night entertainment in Lubbock quite a bit. You had 2 Thursday games, right?
Yes, sir.
Got another one this Thursday.
Yes, sir.
And then I think it's okay to mention this. I think LISD's released this. Your final Halloween week, you've moved that game to Thursday night the 30th against Liberty, which I think is cool because that's a big game in your district, and that's 2 Lubbock teams, and that's going to be on local TV. So that'll be 4 or 5 games on Thursday.
I'm going to say 4.
I know Friday night's a tradition, and we were talking about some other things here. Lubbock ISD used to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which I miss. Mm-hmm. Mike Meeks, if you're listening, I think it's time to bring that back. At Thursday games, you get a little bit of spotlight. The local TV station has picked them up. Is it harder to get guys ready for a Thursday game, or have they kind of gotten used to it?
I think they're kind of used to it. At the end of the day, both teams get the same amount of preparation.
Exactly.
So they're, kids, they want to play. They just want to go out there and play. And so I think it's the same both ways.
But you're a coach, and I've covered coaches long enough to know coaches love routines and doing things the same way every week. Unless you play Thursday, it kind of gets you guys out of kilter a little bit. You have to adjust more than high school kids do.
Yeah, absolutely. But football is modify and adjust, so we have to adjust on the fly every day. So it's part of it. And
I'm trying to think. You guys have fared pretty well on Thursdays, at least this year, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? And you've got a district game this Thursday, 7 p.m. I just went quiet there. I don't know if Brennan meant to do that. I can't hear myself, Brennan, if that matters. Am I still good, Brennan? Okay. 7 p.m. Thursday against Perryton at Lowry Field. Perryton lost to Liberty this week, but Perryton's had a decent season. I think they're 3-4, have a returning quarterback, a big old kid who's a dual threat. As you start to look at them, what are some things you have to be ready for against Perryton?
They have a senior offensive line. Their veteran of the team is more offense than defense. They're young on the defense, but they play competitive football. They're gonna give you their best shot. They're well coached. They're competitive. And they're gonna go out there and play as a team.
And this week, it's an advantage for you guys to have a Thursday game because they may have to leave by like Wednesday afternoon to get down here from Perryton. You coached up there last year, right?
Yes, sir.
The longest road trip you've been on during the regular season as a football coach?
I would say yes. I was checking the Google Maps, trying to see where we were, and I looked up. We were almost in Kansas.
You get that 10-minute stretch of Oklahoma, then you are right there in liberal Kansas.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back and talk more geography and Estacado football after this break in the High School Fan Zone.
Your inside look into Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. We've got one more segment of the Matador Fan Zone. We were talking about Perryton. Estacado, I'll say this. I'll throw this out there for public consumption. Eric and I were just talking. I think that district is pretty much Estacado and Liberty. That's why I think that game, that Thursday, October 30th, is so cool, and the fact that they've moved it into the spotlight. I think you guys are clearly the two best teams in that district. It's a 5-team district. Now, Levelland's got a chance. Liberty's got to play them, but that's why I have a hunch that Estacado will do okay this Thursday, and I think you go up to Borger the following week.
Yes, sir.
And then play Liberty, and then you guys have the last week of the regular season off. Do you like that part of the schedule?
Yes, sir. It gives your players a chance to kind of regroup and kind of miss it a little bit, but also prepare for what's next. And so the timing is perfect, in my opinion.
I know you, and I think Lubbock Cooper has that last week off too, and it actually helped. I know it helped Lubbock Cooper last week because they were leaking oil going into the playoffs, and all of a sudden they looked like a different team. So you guys were the opposite. You were rolling. So this is going to be a busy week for Eric. We mentioned the Thursday night game. There's something else going on in the Ward. Well, not in the Ward household unless something really goes wrong.
Yeah.
But what else is going on with the Ward family this week?
Well, so we'll be expecting, my wife and I will be expecting our 6th son.
Wow.
This week.
Sometime this week,
yes, sir. For sure tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Okay, so knock on wood, Mrs. Ward, if you're listening, we'll be thinking of you. Eric and I were just talking about you. I was singing your praises because I'm a little bit like you on the opposite side. I live with all ladies, including our little female dog, so I understand when you're the Lone Ranger in your house, there's some certain challenges you've got to meet, and what did David Thetford tell you at one of those luncheons when he asked about her having a 6th baby?
I can't remember exactly what he said.
I think he told you to leave her alone.
Leave her alone, yeah. That's what he said.
That was what he said. So you're understandably, and that's when it's a good week to have great assistant coaches right there.
Yes, sir.
Because you get, whether you coach a minute of football this week or not, nobody gets to say anything because there's something a lot more important going on in your life this week.
Absolutely. Football is something that we thoroughly enjoy, and that we've made a great contribution to as coaches in terms of, impacting kids' lives. But when it comes to your immediate family and your own family, having a childbirth is something that, it's really serene. There's not too many opportunities that I can recall that made me feel like, man, I'm about to expect another child. You know, it's just it's one of them moments that it's just no word can describe it.
Nope. I'm an old man now, so whenever a young person asks me about it, my advice is being a dad is the hardest, most challenging thing you're ever going to deal with, but it's also absolutely the most rewarding.
Yes, sir. And I can tell you, every child that I've had, you know, I have 5 sons, almost 6. I mean, and it gets better and better.
There you go. Is this the first one born in the middle of a football season?
This is the first one born in the middle of the football season, but it's my second son born in Lubbock.
Oh, well, that one's a good one. My 2 daughters, one was born. I can tie this into sports very well, and I knew I was married to the right person anyway, but this was how. She was born 5 days before Hereford played in a state championship game in 1999.
Wow. And
when it was clear the baby was on the way, I said, okay, I'm going to call and tell my boss. I said, I'm not going to that game. And she said, why would you do that? Go cover that state championship game.
Yes, sir.
My baby girl was born right at the end of a basketball season I was covering. My wife, women are tough, man. I'm not sure we ever give them credit for being tough enough. She went to a college basketball game with me on a Sunday afternoon, had that baby on Monday, and she was good to go. So
she's a trooper.
And I think Devin Ward, Devin Ward, from friendship, I was about to ascribe being pregnant to you, Devin. I'm sorry. Devin, your former girls basketball coach, was one of the coaches who in this last year and a half coached a season while she was pregnant. And whatever respect I didn't have for coaches, watching coaches coach high school basketball when they're pregnant, all credit goes to them.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She's a great coach as well.
She's up in Floydada now where her husband got a job. So
yes, sir.
Kind of look forward to following what they do up there. Thursday night, 7 p.m. at Lowry Field, Estacado against Perryton. We're going to come back after the break in the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.